A black mist coming out of your chest cannot be a good thing. Gloss on so I can run this mouth. Now focus. Scary story time. Kathy had been married for 17 years when her husband and mother-in-law were in a really bad car accident. Now, her husband was an only child. Her mother-in-law was a pain in the butt. Her father-in-law had passed away like 10 years earlier. So it was just those two. So the husband was doing okay. Kathy went and checked on him and he was like, hey, I really want you to go and take care of my mom. She didn't want to do it because the mom was always so mean, and not just like normal mean, like really, really horrible mean. But she did because her husband was asking her to. So she goes down there and she finds out that the mother-in-law is not doing well at all. She'd been like coming in and out, but when she was in, she was being really hateful to all of the nurses and just saying horrible things. After a while, she like starts attacking Kathy as well. And she's telling Kathy like, hey, this is your fault, blah, blah, blah. And Kathy wasn't even with them. Well, the nurses are seeing this go on. Kathy's dealing with it. All of the things are happening. Well, then she starts coding. The nurses move Kathy out of the way. There's a bunch of them in there like trying to like bring her back and do all of the things. And as this is going on, this mist of like this black mist lifts from the mother-in-law's chest and like hovers for a second. So while she's looking at that, she notices that a nurse is looking at her. So Kathy sees the mist. A nurse is looking at Kathy. So Kathy knows it's because the nurse is also seeing that mist, that she had no idea what that mist was. So the mist kind of like hovers for a little bit and then just takes off. So after the mother-in-law passes, she's talking to the nurse and she asks her like, why were you looking at me? Like, did you see that mist? And she just keeps on like, what was the mist? What was the mist? And the nurse tells her that they have noticed with patients that are very unkind or horrible people that sometimes when they pass away, this black mist will leave the body. I've not heard of that happening. Now, I have done a video before of patients like screaming and crying when they're horrible people and how that's different than when like someone passes and they're like a good, like kind, a faithful person, that it's a peaceful passing. But the black mist is new. I've heard of the screaming when they passed over, but not the black mist. Some say that it might be like death itself coming to collect, or that it's the like dark soul leaving. So what do you think? If you think dating's scary, you should try doing it in the Appalachian Mountains. Lipstick on so I can run this mouth. Now focus. Scary story time. 2 years ago, Michaela started dating this guy. They'd been dating for like 3 weeks. Everything was going great. He was normal but quiet and outdoorsy, a little different than what she was used to, but she was all about it. Well, he calls her and he's like, hey, we're going camping, me and a bunch of my friends. It's going to be like 8 of us. You should go with us. Immediately, she's like, yeah, okay, yeah, I'm down to go. She didn't really want to go out in the woods if it was just going to be them, but since it was going to be a group, she's like, yeah, let's do it. Well, the day before they're supposed to leave, he calls and he tells her like, hey, bad news, everyone's canceled, but it's fine. We're still going to have a good time. She tells him, like, hey, why don't we just reschedule? I'm not really comfortable being out in the woods with you. I barely know you. He tells her like, I thought you were like a mountain girl. Everything's going to be fine. And she just kind of knew better, but she decided to just go ahead and go anyway. So they're going up this trail and it's like on the edge of like Kentucky and West Virginia. And she said it was about 20 minutes in, then the trail just kind of turns into ruts and all of the things. They get out and hike another mile in. Now, she said they were already way deeper into the woods than she wanted to be with this guy, but they were there. It was fine. They set up the tent. Then it's around dusk. This dude goes over and stands at the wood line and he's just staring at the wood line. She looks at him like, what are you doing? Finally, she tells him, hey, you're creeping me out. What's going on? He tells her, they always show up at dusk. Who's they? Like, what are you talking about? And he just ignores her. He just keeps standing there. Now she knows this is it. Will be the last time I ever have anything to do with this guy. I just have to get through tonight and it's over. So she's asleep in the tent. It's a little small tent. When around 1 or 2 in the morning, she wakes up to footsteps walking around the outside of the tent. Immediately, she's like, hell no, hell no. She opens her eyes. He's staring at her, smiling. And then he's like, I told you they would show up, like I told you. And he seemed like stoked about it, not scared at all. She could tell it wasn't an animal or a raccoon or anything. It sounded like 2 heavy boots walking around the tent. Then they stop right where her head's at. She thinks, okay, this is it. This is the end. They're going to unzip the tent, snatch me out. This will be all she wrote. That's the end of it. And nothing happens. But she hears this wet breathing through the tent. She's looking at the guy. The whole time he's just like, like so stoked that this is happening. This goes on forever, it felt like. Finally, she said she must have fell asleep or something. I don't know. She wakes up the next morning. The sun's up. She jumps out of the tent, runs around the tent. She can't find any sign that anyone was out there, but she knows that it happened. He tells her, like, hey, we're going to stay another night, right? No, absolutely not, sir. Pack this up. We're getting out of here. So they start walking out, and she notices that there's boot footprints going in that matched theirs, like someone was following them, but none leaving, which meant whatever was out there, whoever was out there, was still out there, right? She gets back, ghosts him, doesn't have anything to do with him, but she does see a couple of his friends later on, and she's telling them about like what happened and tells him like, hey, this guy, I don't know what's going on with him. And they said, what do you mean? We didn't cancel. He said that it was like 2 weekends later. They didn't know. He gave them the wrong time, and he purposely set it up to get her alone out there. So what was going to happen that second night? So ladies, if you are trying to date in the Appalachian Mountains and they want to take you camping, don't do it. Y'all, bars are disappearing in New Orleans and gas stations in Appalachia. Gloss on so I can run this mouth. Now focus. Scary story time. Hot off the press, the story just currently happened 12 days ago. Carla, leaving work, stops at a gas station that she always stops at. She said it has 2 pumps. It's a little like country gas station. There's a guy standing by the front door, by the ice thing, you know, where you get the big bags of ice. He looks at her, she looks at him. He's just kind of standing there. She said he didn't really seem like a threat or seem scary or anything. So she gets her gas, goes inside, gets a few snacks. And then as she's checking out, she asks the guy that she talks to all of the time, hey, who's that dude standing outside? He looks, he's like, I don't see anyone. She said, well, he was just there. I don't know where he went. The guy says, do you want me to walk you out to your car? She's like, no, I'm good. I think it'll be fine. Just watch me though to make sure I'll make it. He's like, okay, I got you. Right? She sees that the guy has moved to the other side, like the blind spot of the ice thing. He's looking at her still. He's not smiling. He's not looking like mad or anything. She drives off, and as she drives off, he steps off the little curb. Gets home. She lives alone. Everything looks normal. The front porch light's on. The door was locked. She goes in, has her snacks from the gas station, and then she takes her shower, does like her skincare and all that stuff. It's been a while, okay? She goes to bed. Now, she's asleep when she wakes up at 2:14 a.m. to a noise in her kitchen. Just kind of sounded like someone was walking around down there. So she immediately reaches for her phone, and then she thinks, okay, maybe I'm like overreacting. Maybe it's just the house settling or something. And she just waits before she calls anyone. It goes silent. She doesn't hear anything. So then she lays back down, and then she hears the sound again about 20 minutes later. She looks towards the door. The door is shut, and she can see a shadow of someone standing on the other side of the door. She immediately freaks out because she didn't shut her bedroom door, for one, and then who's in her house? She calls 911. She's being quiet, and the person is just standing on the other side. Right? So she's kind of scared to talk. She's just kind of like grunting a little bit when the 911 operator's like, do you need help? She's like, mm-hmm. The 911 operator tells her, like, we're sending someone. They'll be there soon. Stay on the line. She said it was 7 minutes before the cops get there. She's waiting. The shadow shifts, and then a hand comes under the door. So she's just got a hand laying on her bedroom floor under the door. Immediately, if it's me, I would have jumped up and ran over there and stomped on that hand. But she didn't. She's just sitting there waiting for the cops. She can hear the sirens and stuff coming. The hand pulls back out from under the door, and then the shadow's just like gone. So they look, they can't find anyone, but they do find wet footprints coming from the back door to the bottom of the staircase, and that stops. So to me, I think, okay, he took his boots off, right, to sneak up the stairs. She has the cops go through the house. They look in the attic. They look everywhere. They cannot find anyone, and they can't find where the boots went back out. They're asking, like, who do you think this could have been? Do you know, a boyfriend, something like that? And she says, well, there was this guy at the gas station that was kind of being a little off. So they ask which gas station and everything, and she tells them, and they kind of look at each other, and then one of the cops go, are you sure that's the gas station that you were at? She's like, yeah, I stop there all the time. They say that the gas station has been closed since the 90s. She tells them, no, you gotta be confused, because I was just there tonight. Like, here's the candy that I got while I was there. Like, the guy, I talked to him all the time. She knew the guy's name. They tell her, no, we're like 100% positive and sure that that gas station has been closed since the 90s, because one of the cops' dads used to be the manager there. What happened? So does this happen all the time? Do you guys have gas stations just showing up and being like operational and then not? I don't know. I'm so confused. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. If you're scared of mimics in the US, you're going to want to listen to this, because in Portugal, they're way worse. Gloss on so I can run this mouth. Now focus. Scary story time. Fright Night Files. Hugo sent this story in. It happened in July 2019. He went to the northern part of Portugal. There's this place called Gerge. I know I'm saying that wrong, but it is a national park where you can go and camp and stuff. And he went with his friends, Sophia and Carla. Hugo said when they got there, everything was fantastic. They went to reception to sign in. When they sign in, they tell them like, oh, you're in this bungalow. It's about a 10-minute walk. So they just walk there. So there's 3. And the first one is a couple that looks about the same age as them, around 25, and they have a small dog. The other bungalow is a couple, and they were about 65. He said that they looked really sweet, seemed like nice people. They're there for the first 3 days. Everything's going great. The 4th day, they all go outside at night around 10 p.m. and they're sitting outside just enjoying the night, the sky, the quiet of it all, when they hear this scream. Immediately they hear another scream come from the bungalow that had the young couple with the dog in it. So they go over there. The guy opens the door. He sees them outside and he's like, hey, did you hear the scream? They said, yeah, we did. He said, I'm going to go to reception and see what's going on. Now, remember, Hugo, Sophia, Carla. Carla loves like paranormal stuff. She loves nightlife, all that. So she said, I'll go with you. So they walk to the reception. Now, remember, that's around 10 minutes away. 10 minutes go by before the boyfriend comes back, but Carla's not with him. Hugo immediately thought that was strange because Carla's the one that liked all of this like spooky stuff, so she would have probably really enjoyed all of this that was going on, so he thought it was weird that she stayed at reception. But the boyfriend tells them all, hey, I talked to reception. She said it was probably just an animal, but that if we wanted to go check, we could walk down the trail because about, a couple of minutes in, there's a flashlight on the trail. So they all decide to go, all of them. They all go, they're walking down. They're walking for about 2 minutes before Hugo sees the flashlight. He picks it up and turns it on and shines it towards Sophia, and then that's when he kind of like realizes everything is wrong. So he said that there were no birds, no insects, nothing, just the wind. I'm going to read this next part so that I don't miss anything. He said, I had a bad feeling about it. I said that we should go back, but the boyfriend kept insisting that we go help whoever might be out there. When I got angry and said we were going back, he suddenly started laughing at us. That's when I noticed something disturbing. He had one single tooth in the front that was yellow. The rest were white. At that moment, the girl's dog started barking aggressively. He turned to us and said that going back wouldn't matter because he would always know where we were. Every hair on my body stood up. I knew something about this wasn't normal. I screamed at the girls to run. We all ran back to the bungalow. I didn't look back, but I felt like he was behind me. When we got close to the bungalow lights, I started shouting for him not to come any closer. He just stood near the forest laughing. Then suddenly we saw 2 flashlights coming down the road. It was Carla and the girl's boyfriend returning from reception, asking what was happening. I immediately shouted for them to come inside to the bungalow, and that's when I told them like everything that was going on. They looked back towards the thing and nothing was there. Right away, Carla said, you found a mimic. I had never even heard of that in my life. None of us slept that night. We all stayed together in our bungalow. At 6 a.m, since I hadn't slept at all, we went to reception and asked them to call the police. All of the bungalows had security footage outside of them, and that's when they showed them the cameras and said that there was nobody there. But in the video, you could see Hugo screaming at whatever was out there that wasn't showing up on camera. So they all decide like, hey, we're getting out of here. The younger couple with the dog, they all pack up, they're leaving, and that's when the elderly couple come outside and they ask like, hey, what are you or like, you're leaving, like what's going on? And they ask about like, hey, did you hear the scream? The elderly couple said, no, we sleep very heavily. So he goes to tell them bye. The woman smiles at him. Guess what? She's got the one weird yellow tooth, just like the mimic thing that was in the woods. So Hugo runs to the car, tells everyone what's going on. They call the police. When they get back, 2 weeks later, the detective calls and tells them that the 3rd bungalow had been used only for maintenance, like ever, that they had never let anyone stay in it. So there's no way that an elderly couple could have been staying there. So who were they? What's going on in the woods in Portugal? Let me add that they always say that mimics are kind of perfect, but not. There's always something off. And in Portugal, it was the tooth. Dolphins are on the hunt for construction workers, allegedly. Lip gloss on so I can run this mouth. Now focus. Scary story time. Fright Night Files. What do you mean a Florida man was kidnapped by dolphins and forced to build a city? Like, what is going on? I've told some crazy stories on here that I've heard before. We've all had like the mermaid eating thing, by the elite, which after a lot of things, are we really even surprised about the mermaid video anymore? But if you don't know what I'm talking about, there's this guy. His name is Ricky James Hollowell. He's 33 years old. He was found apparently last Monday by Lee County Sheriff's Office. Like they reported that he had been left or found barefoot, severely sunburned, and wearing only swim trunks. He told deputies that he had been quote-unquote taken against his will by a pod of dolphins 3 days ago and forced to work on what he called an underwater construction project. And that's not it. It gets better, because he claimed that the dolphins approached him while he was swimming off Fort Myers Beach and escorted him to a site approximately 40 feet below the surface where they needed help building structures. Why are we even questioning this? Because they're going to build things. They're going to need construction crew people, right? I mean, they're smart and all, but they don't have thumbs, so I don't know how they're supposed to build things without construction workers. He told officers that the dolphins communicated through a series of clicks that he eventually learned to interpret. Quick, man. He is fast learning. What does that mean? Like a meant go fix the toilet? I don't know what he's talking about. Best part is there was a foreman, a dolphin foreman, that was in charge of all of this, and his name was Gerald. Then when they asked him how he breathed underwater for 3 days, he said, Gerald handled that. I didn't ask questions and you don't question Gerald. Noted. He had drawn an elaborate blueprint in the sand that deputies described as detailed enough to be concerning, including what appeared to be condos, a town square, and a recreation center. The dolphins are not playing around down there. They are going to work. Yeah, they took him to make him do what they needed to do, but they're not unreasonable, because once they felt that they were satisfied what he'd done, they let him go. So, I mean, but they did tell him that they would be back for phase 2. So, responding deputy Sean Oakley told reporters, I've been with the sheriff's office 11 years. The blueprints were the part that got me. He had zoning. They took him for like medical evaluation. Good to go. No reports of anything that you might be thinking that could be in his system to make him dream this up. The only thing that he had like different about him was a certain type of bacteria or water or something that you only find where he said he was at in his lungs. So maybe he's telling the truth, and maybe Foreman Gerald's not that great at his job. Just saying.